a lot of your ideas are probably really shit. Let me be honest with you. We all have business ideas. We all think we're going to be the next Airbnb, Uber, Twitter. We all think that we've solved the world's next biggest problem and we're going to be billionaires. This time next year, Rodney, will be Let me just give everyone a reality check. There are some things you need to do when you come up with a business idea, right? In order to verify it and to ensure that actually this could work and this could make money. So in today's video, I am going to talk you through some of the key things you need to do, the steps you need to take once you have an idea and it's sort of progressing a little bit to ensure that it isn't just a dumb idea and that actually it could become a business and a business of some significance. So don't take it personally. I have dumb ideas all the time. We all do. So the first thing is the biggest and best businesses solve the biggest and worst problems. The bigger or the more complex or the more people you solve a problem for, the more money you make, right? The more successful you become. Everything is problem solving. That problem could be really trivial. I want like a really expensive designer handbag. Enter Birkin. I want to buy plants at a cheaper price than everywhere else. Enter B&Q. Everything is problem solving, no matter how trivial you think it is. Just because you don't have that problem, it's still solving a problem somehow, somewhere. So, firstly, realistically, what does this look like in the market? Is it a revolutionary toothbrush for cats? Although they don't need it because there's lots of chew products that already exist. Is it something people actually need? Or is it something they want? No problem with having a need or a want. Tesco's shopping groceries is a need. This tofu video light is a want. Don't need it to make this content. Neither do you. So first is identifying, does this actually look, is this, something that has a reality in real life, in today's world, or in the world in a few years, right? Depending on the type of business. Now, you then want to look at the market size. This is really tricky because there's not data for 10 million people in the world like cats and 2 billion like Harry Potter. But there's no real data for that. But there is generally enough data online, enough information, social media, hashtag following trends, things like that, for you to work out roughly what the kind of market size is, right? And bigger isn't always better, because you may only need 1,000 customers a year to make your business work, because each item costs 100 grand, and that that's what it is, and it doesn't cost you much to make, and so there's a nice profit margin in that. You might be like Koenigsegg, the hypercars cost millions. They don't make that many a year, and they don't need to, in order for the owner to be rich and for them to have the money to invest in R&D. So, although we're talking about size versus, what size do you need? The first thing to do is really to assess that market, because if you have a low value product, right? Pens, nose strips for blackheads. Yeah, I know you've noticed my blackheads are non-existent. Yeah. If you have that and your market size is really tiny, but it's blackhead strips, you can't charge 100 grand for fucking strips. You're charging, £3. Poundland used to do blackhead strips. Where are they gone? Because they were really good, and now they don't. And now they sell things for more than £1. What is this? Yeah, millionaires, we shop at Poundland. Fuck off. Yeah, toothpaste is really cheap there. Although my wife doesn't believe it's toothpaste. She believes I've replaced it with petrol or some shit. But petrol smells nice. So, you have to assess your market size so you can then say, well, this is a product I was thinking. That's not enough of a market size, because you're not going to have all the market, right? You're going to have whatever percentage. But I always like to think, well, if we can get, depending on the business type, anywhere from 1 to 10% of a market, incredible, right? Because there's, generally speaking, a lot of people in every market, so it varies massively, right? For example, my food business, if there's 50 festivals across the UK in the year, and we can do 5 of them, for me that's okay, that's a decent start. You know, in that case, I think we could probably do more, but I'd be happy with a minimum of 5, right? Because I know the competition. However, yeah, realistically, probably 10, 15. So, you know, like you could have a cool concept, cool idea, it fits, it solves a real problem, but people just don't see the problem, and then that becomes a bit of market awareness, right? And you creating an awareness campaign, but then at the same time, if there just aren't people who are going to use it, despite it being like, I have problems, we all have problems, but like, I don't need something for it, and nor am I going to spend X amount of money for that. I might spend Y amount of money, and that obviously helps you identify how much you're going to price things, but assessing the market size is for me super, super important. Competitors, you need to look at who's already doing this, how are they doing it, and why are they doing it. If there's not many people doing it, or no one doing it, don't just think, ka-ching, we're the only ones here. You need to think, why aren't all these big companies with loads of money, why are they not doing this? Why has no one done this before? Now look, sometimes it will be, oh shit, we're actually doing something unique here. People just haven't thought about it. Or a lot of the time, sorry, it's going to be, it doesn't work. They've tried it, they've spent money on it, they've done market research on it doesn't work. So, you know, you need to know who you're up against. And also, not to dissuade you, but you could be going up against real behemoths. And if you haven't got patents, or you can't because of, you know, the type of business you're doing, these people, they're waiting for little fish like us to start these businesses, because then they'll say, so Tej did that and it worked and he's doing these revenues. Okay. Well, we've got $500,000 to spend on it tomorrow. So can you copy what Tej's done, and then we'll launch in a week, and then we'll just do better. He's tested a concept for us. Thanks a lot, Tej. And you get bulldozed. That's business, man. That's what happens. Or they try and buy you, but, you know, potentially not at certain stages. So, you know, your competitor analysis, really, really important. Don't just think, I've got an amazing idea, it's going to launch, it's going to be amazing. You know how many calls I've had with people? Tej, I want you to rip up my business idea, you know, as part of mentoring, consulting, one-off call, whatever it is. We have these calls, and at the end of the call, they're so dejected. And I say, what are you going to do about this? They say, I think it could still work. Now, for some of them, yeah, it definitely would work. But there's a lot of them where I've given the advice of, yeah, this is not going to work for 7 different reasons. You haven't given me one reason to counter me why you think it's going to work, but yet you still think it's going to work. There's a word for that kind of behavior. Begins with S, ends in tupid. Rhymes with Cupid. Work it out. Now, you also kind of want to look at profitability. You know, if you think you can make the best hats, the best printed hats, right, for X amount of cost, it's going to be better than Louis Vuitton, this, that, all this embroidery, all this stuff. And we're also going to compete on price. So we're going to be the cheapest and the best. Ugh, classic. It's not going to work. Yeah? You can't afford to be the cheapest and best, especially in clothing when you're just starting out and you haven't got your big factory sorted, right? So, you know, is it profitable? Now, you need to obviously be able to work out profit margins roughly. It's early days. You don't know how much things cost to manufacture or whatever. But you can look at what they sell for. You can look at people who've created their own products and kind of work backwards. And I teach people how to do this, you know, when they're coming to me for my business entrepreneurship program as people with ideas, but no business. And this part's really important. And it's also the part that people don't want to do. Oh, we'll figure out profitability later. Of course it'll be profitable because we can charge whatever we want because we'll have a great brand. Okay. Every business, you know, struggles with profitability, i.e. they work on it all the time and it's never enough and there's always some issue to do with it. So you really need to have a rough idea pretty early on of, can I actually achieve, you know, this USP, this business, this thing, how I want it, whilst also making profit? Because you ain't a charity unless you're a charity. But then you lot just spend money on, you know, half the time all these, you know, consultants and planning and all this stuff and barely get shit done. But anyways, I'm not dissing charities, hold tight charities. And then, you know, we kind of spoke earlier about like the idea versus the reality in the market. You also have to ask yourself, does it solve a real problem? Like, are people actually annoyed, frustrated? Are they emotional enough? Are they moved enough to then want to spend money on something new, untested, to then make that problem easier, you know? Like, you don't just want to have an app that tells you, hey, it's been an hour since you petted your dog, go and touch your dog. You know, what the you know, that's weird. And is it future-proofed? It doesn't have to be 20, 30, 50 years. It doesn't have, like, you know, some businesses have a lifetime, and like, that's fine, like, it's totally cool. But how long is your lifetime? And when's the expiry date? If there is one, you see one, you know, what is the end game for this business potentially? And, you know, is it just following a trend, you know? Is it going to crash and burn, or is it going to grow, and is it going to, you know, look at like Blockbuster, look at Woolworths. They didn't adapt, they didn't evolve. And where they at now? Where you at, Blockbuster? You ain't around. Right? You don't want to be that, okay? I mean, look, there is an argument for, hey, build a business that lasts 2-3 years, make a shit ton of money, and then reinvest it and crack on. Like, cool, that's fine. But those guys obviously kind of lost out because of their own issues. So, does that timeline that you have, does that give you enough time for it to be profitable? You got X many months at the start, X many, you know, like what happens, right? Things are always better in the long run. You know, we always overestimate how much we can do in a short time frame and underestimate how much we can do on a bigger time frame. Because Instagram, social media makes everything very, oh, we could have it now. But they have it now. You can have it tomorrow. Things are not instant, you know? It's just not how it works. So people, those are my top tips there and process and steps that when you have a business idea, run through this, listen to this again, send this to your friend who keeps coming up with business ideas, but 7 years later, they're still employed. Yep, know what you're talking about. Because you should always do these things to verify, vet, and do some due diligence on your ideas, right? You need to flesh them out. You need to get these things as a minimum down before you really start doing anything more with it. I've had people who haven't even done this stuff who are like, yeah, I'm going to go speak to investors and get money. I'm like, well, you're not. So all the best, you know, all the best of luck with that one, yeah, bro? All right, cuzzy, make sure you hit the like button, hit the bell icon, go up and subscribe. Leave a comment, people. Honestly, you would not believe, like on YouTube, how much comments help. Help get the videos out there, help people who make videos. You know, if you consume this content for free, which you have, please leave a comment. Super, super grateful. Or if it's been useful to you, send me a message on Instagram. If you want to book in one of these one-off calls where I tear apart your whole life in your face, no, not your face, but your business idea, let me know, and then we can book one in.